Hello everybody. So another ugly day today for stock pickers, another ugly day for high growth investors. Hence the question, is October cancelled? What is going on? Why is everything going down? Well, shutdown may be a reason. Trade war jitters, maybe another reason. But honestly, we're used to all of this stuff, and I don't understand why it's going down. Nobody really knows. I don't pretend to know. I know that if you were listening to the internet right now, that's the second half of October, as they stopped calling it October and be like, oh yeah, go all in. It's gonna be amazing in the month of October because it historically performs this way, and we can see we're absolutely not there because Bitcoin is down 14% from that Monday peak. It was actually a Sunday peak, so we've dropped quite a bit in Bitcoin, and that has a lot to do, of course, with that liquidation event, which I think scared a lot of people. A lot of people are still very upset about that liquidation event. They're not letting go of that, and so there will be class action lawsuits and investigations and a lot of exchanges. Something went on which I think could have spooked Bitcoin. But we have bullish news on Bitcoin every day. This morning the government did another seizure that they're adding to the Bitcoin strategic reserve. We had this 3 hours ago. Square is going to accept Bitcoin payments with zero fees until 2027. That's a pretty big deal. We have a rate cut, another rate cut in the bag on October 29, and most importantly, today, for the first time in a year, we have the lowest. We have an all-time low in the 10-year. And of course, in the real economy, so much follows the 10-year, namely mortgages. Mortgages tend to follow the 10-year. A lot of debts, government debt, state debt, company debt is going to get refinanced at a lower rates. The rates are dropping. This in theory should be really, really good for risk assets. We have everything good going on. So I don't understand why it drops, but it's okay for me because I can sit in assets for a very long time and I can just wait. So it's the theme. Every week is the same. With strategy, a slow bleed. Strategy is bleeding slowly. Today, Bitcoin, of course, with Bitcoin at 107 for most of the day today, Bitcoin dropped. We opened the trading day, Bitcoin drops hard, right? So Bitcoin performance very disappointing today, and strategy is correlated to Bitcoin. So what was the multiplier of strategy compared to Bitcoin today? It was a 1.58. Historically, Saylor targets a 1.5. So, this is a tad worse than the expected 1.5. It means that the MNAV is still compressing a little bit. But this is not the precipitous drop that we've seen in companies like Nakamoto or Strive or Metaplanet. The drop has not been precipitous for strategy. Yesterday's video, I showed you the chart. 283, yeah, you're on the lower range, and it hasn't done much in a year for sure. But we haven't seen the catastrophe that we've seen in other assets. Many of these other treasury companies lost 95% of their value. 95% of their value. We're not there at strategy. We're not there at all. MNAV yesterday, when I made this very exact same video yesterday, MNAV was 1.4. But it was a screenshot from yesterday. Today, MNAV is 1.39. It's a slow bleed. It's annoying. This will turn around. This will get better when Bitcoin turns around and when Bitcoin gets better. But Bitcoin is going through a valley of despair of its own right now. It's been quite annoying. So another thing I want to say, I want to call your attention once again to the preferred. Yesterday, another amazing news for strategy. And Saylor tweeted about this again today, and it seems like going forward, it's going to be return of capital. The funds paid out in the form of dividends on these preferred are going to be return of capital, which essentially means, no tax for 10 to 12 years, depending on the asset, or like 8 to 12 years. So, until you mark that, if you were to buy Strike, for example, until you mark $87 down to zero, it's just a return of capital. So it's not taxed. You're just reducing your cost basis. This is a huge deal. And we have Strike, who's trading, frankly, at the lows. It's only trading 8% more than since launch. And this is despite of the fact that the rates are at a 52-week low. The rates is at a 52-week low. In theory, this asset should be going up. It's not going up. It's highly undervalued if you ask me. It's even crazier if you do Stretch. Okay, Stretch barely has any volatility. It's the least volatile asset out there. 5% volatility, Sailor tweeted the other day. But you know, we're at a 10.53% effective yield now. We were at 10.35 a few days ago. So this one is effectively trading in my view at a steep discount. Once again, when you compare it to the 10-year, which is at 3.97 right now. And you know, it's if you have confidence in Bitcoin, these assets are very, very attractive. If you don't have confidence in Bitcoin, but you have confidence in fiat, and you think the government's going to get their house in order, and you think government's going to stop spending and start being virtuous, then I guess the 3.9% yield is attractive. But you know, on this channel, we don't believe that at all. On this channel, we think that the deficit is just gonna go crazy, and it's gonna go through the roof, and money printing is gonna come back in a level we've never seen before. That's what we believe on this channel in general, right? That's why it's called Beat the Denominator. So whatever, you know, the dump continues. The crash worsens even for DFDV. So as you know, yesterday I spoke highly of DFDV. This week I've been interested in DFDV actually. My attention to this stock, you know, it increased a lot when they announced their warrant. If you own 10 shares of DFDV, you're going to get a warrant with an exercise price of $22.50. On January 21, 2028, go look at the price of these options if you wanted to buy them. These options are expensive. This is a major dividend, the fact that they're giving out these warrants. The market, rightfully so, on Friday was still happy about the warrants. The stock was at $18. It priced in right away those warrants, and then the market took it all back and then some. And now we're at $13.79. You know, following Solana's, I don't really want to call it a crash. It's a little bit of a drop, but it's not that big of a crash either. But here, DFDV really underperforming Solana. And this is a company that is still stacking, by the way. They announced a big buy today of what was the buy? Anyways, 80 something thousand Bitcoin. They now own 2.5 million. I think they bought 80,000, not Bitcoin, 80,000 souls today. Anyways, you know, value, soul per share value is 1460. Right now, trading at 13.79. Now, this was posted 7 hours ago, so the sold value in DFDV might be a little lower than that. It could be $14 or something like that. Trading below MNAV, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, the thesis of Solana I find stronger than the thesis of Ethereum. I know in the comments section, a lot of people ask me what I think about BMNR. My answer is I prefer Solana derivatives over Ethereum derivatives. But my bigger answer is I obviously much prefer Bitcoin. I'm a Bitcoin guy, but I do believe there will be internet capital, and internet capital, these blockchains, we're going to build the future. A lot of insurance companies, a lot of new exchanges, a lot of payments will be run on these blockchains. And it seems to me like Solana is going to be one of the leading blockchains, if not a bigger blockchain than Ethereum, but it's a little more early and it's a little less well known, but it's probably the third most well-known cryptocurrency right after Ethereum and Bitcoin. So anyways, let's talk about growth now really briefly. So as you know, on my Patreon, on my spreadsheet, I show my current favorites, and all of my favorites crashed today. So you know, hyper growth stocks, Cormetics, you know, predicted to grow 180% their sales next 12 months. Reax, the real brokerage, predicted to grow 50% their sales next 12 months. HIMS predicted to grow their sales 47% the next 12 months. So super hyper growth stock. All these stocks are profitable. All these stocks are trading at dirt cheap enterprise value over gross profit, over revenue growth. And yet they dumped, with HIMS down 7% today. It's like the market entirely forgot about the great news of menopause, which I shared yesterday in yesterday's video. It's going to be a huge market. The market just gives a big bump in the stock price and takes it away on unrelated matters the day after. And so, yeah, that didn't last too long. That short squeeze people were hoping didn't last too long. HIMS is retracing. growth stocks were impacted today. It was pretty bad for growth stocks today. And then Reacts, which, I absolutely don't understand. Reacts, ever since I've covered it, it's now trading at the lowest since I've started covering it, right? I started covering it in like the early fours, like early $4. So Reacts is $3.69 today, down almost 6%. Again, nothing changed for the stock except that it's a lower small cap, high growth stock. Nothing changed. If anything, real estate stocks should be doing very well right now because the 10-year treasury is at 3.97. So that bodes really well for interest rates because interest rates pretty much closely follows this. Real estate is going to make a comeback. Granted, we're entering the winter. The winter is not a very good time for real estate. But I believe if we keep this rate, if this rate keeps dropping, let's say this rate in a month is like 3.5, I believe that's going to be very bullish for real estate. And Reacts, which has been growing in one of the toughest markets, this company has been growing in one of the toughest markets, the stock is being dumped because it's a small, high-growth, hyper-growth cap, and small hyper-growth cap is bad right now for some reason. Right? People love fiat right now. We're in extreme fear. I don't know if you follow the indication index, whether it's the stock market or whether it's the crypto. We're right at the edge of extreme fear. The next measurement, if we see it published tomorrow, will probably be in extreme fear tomorrow. So it makes very little sense what's going on. The last stock, of course, is CorMedix. CorMedix dropped a lot today. CorMedix down 5%. We briefly traded under $10 on CorMedix, which was absolute nonsense. So CorMedix, really briefly, a stock I've covered many times on the channel. It's what I call the anti-infection medication leader. It's shaping up to become an anti-infection pharma company. They used to be just known for catheter solution locks for dialysis. $200 a vial. You don't get infections. Anyways, they have a niche. They have a very good niche, and they did an acquisition, and I think that's going to be a really good acquisition that they did. The point is predicted to grow 180% next 12 months. This is the revenue. The revenue is predicted to grow 180% next 12 months, 41% EBITDA margin, 96% gross margin. Trading EV over GP over RG is a 0.03. This stock is cheaper than Oscar. To give you an example, a lot of people pound the table on Oscar, saying it's a great stock. This stock is a little cheaper than Oscar. This stock is cheaper than LifeMD. This stock is obviously cheaper than HIMSS. HIMSS is a little more expensive now. HIMSS is a little more accepted of a company. So I don't understand why it's dropping so much. Today was a buying opportunity across the board. I'm trying to pace myself and make sure you never run out of dry powder. That's my strategy. I always never want to run out of dry powder. But October seems to not be doing too well, and it seems to be maybe deal-stober. So we are going through in a deal-stober. DFDV at $14, Bitcoin at 107. It's a good day to buy. So that's what I've been doing today. I bought some stocks, as you may know if you follow me on Patreon. Anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.